to BBC. It's brought to our viewers on television in the US and around the globe. My name's Mike Embley. Our top stories. A man is hacked to death on a London street. It's being treated as a suspected terror attack.
People across Britain, I believe, will utterly condemn this attack. We have had these sorts of attacks before in our country, and we never buckle in the face of them.
Eyewitnesses say the two suspects made no attempt to get away. One was filmed in the immediate aftermath.
I apologise that women had to witness this today, but in our land, our women have to see the same. You people will never be safe. Remove your government, they don't care about you.
The US reveals more about its use of drone strikes. It's now admitted 4 Americans have been killed in attacks since 2009. And after the storm, thousands left homeless by the Oklahoma tornado begin trying to rebuild their lives. Unprecedented attack in a London street on a young man believed to be a British soldier. The Prime Minister is saying there are strong indications it was a terrorist attack. The victim was hacked to death by 2 men who then stayed at the scene and were later shot and wounded by police. One was filmed in the immediate aftermath. His hands are covered in blood, telling bystanders, "You people will never be safe." Our first report is from Tom Simons.
At first, some of those who saw it thought there had been a car crash, that 2 men were trying to help the victim, but then they realised they were attacking him with knives and a meat cleaver. The pair didn't challenge eyewitnesses, who later described it as an attempt to behead the victim, a white man in a helmet. They went into the street, leaving him here, where a police tent now marks the spot. But astonishingly, their weapon did not flee the scene. They used to talk to eyewitnesses. A horrified crowd gathered. They asked onlookers on a bus to film them.
You people will never be safe. Remove your government, they don't care about you. You think David Cameron is going to get caught in the street when we stop boxing our guns? You think the politicians are going to lie? No, it's going to be the average man like you and your children. So get rid of them. Tell them to bring our troops back so we can say we can rule in the peace.
Joe Talent watched them from meters away. He told me they seemed to be waiting for the police to arrive.
They could have easily got away from the space that the police come. They could have just walked on, gone about their business, and then got too late. But they were just walking around the body like they was wanting the police to come get them.
This eyewitness said that when police arrived, the men moved forward, arms down, one carrying a gun, and the police fired first. This was the account given by a senior officer this evening.
2 men, we believe from early reports, to have been carrying weapons, were shot by police. They have both been taken to separate London hospitals and receiving treatment for their injuries.
During the violence, in a nearby school, terrified children were kept inside for their own safety.
We also saw ambulance helicopter land in our school playground. So we all thought people were saying we're going to die, and we all thought someone had died at that moment because there was choppers, police and ambulance around, and we were very scared.
A large area of Woolwich is now cordoned off. This is now a complex police investigation of several connected parts. First of all, the body of the man killed in the initial attack. Then, the police ship being scrutinised by the Independent Police Complaints Commission. And beyond that, counter-terrorism officers will be trying out who they did this, or whether anyone else is prepared to carry out a similar attack. The forensics officers are likely to be here all night, but they will only be able to answer some of the many questions that result from this unprecedented act of violence. It leaves the area shocked and tense.
Tom Simons will report while the British Prime Minister has arrived back in London, cutting short a trip to France, on which an emergency street. The 2 attackers are unarmed in a hospital as security services try to work out who they are. The BBC understands one be of Nigerian origin. It's our security correspondent, Frank Garner.
An extraordinary scene on an ordinary street, one of the two alleged murderers today. But what do we know about them? There are unconfirmed reports at least one of the men is of Nigerian origin, a suspected jihadist. A statement to the cameras before he was shot by police and taken away did carry a jihadist message of revenge. Quite all officials say the men tried to film the attack, during which they shouted, Allahu Akbar, God is greatest. The Prime Minister, meeting the French President in Paris this evening, was clearly shocked by events.
Tonight, our thoughts should be with the victim, with their family, with their friends. People across Britain, people in every community, I believe, will utterly condemn this attack. We've had these sorts of attacks before in our country, and we never buckle in the face of them.
Inside the Security Executive Headquarters, the Joint Terrorism Analysis Centre is now considering whether it needs to raise the national terrorist threat level from substantial to severe. If this proves to be a concerted plot, then that threat level could possibly be raised. Tonight, key figures met in the Cabinet Office in an emergency committee called COBRA. The fact that COBRA has met tonight is a sign of just how seriously this is being taken. It was chaired by the Home Secretary Theresa May, who placed the Prime Minister. She was supported by Andrew Parker, the Director General of the Security Service, MI5. Senior Metropolitan Police officers were also at the meeting. It's their Specialist Operations Unit, SO15, that is now leading this investigation.
The police and security service are establishing the full facts of this barbaric case, but there is a strong indication that it was an act of terrorism.
Security has been tightened, not just at Woolwich Barracks, but in several defence and security establishments. British Muslims have been quick to condemn the attack.
This is a time for unity, where the community stand shoulder to shoulder with the family of this poor chap, with the army as a whole, and with the armed forces more generally. Because this is a time when we really need to reach out and recognise that as a community, with British people, we are one and we're united.
There will be no easy answers at the scene of the crime, but both the attackers are being treated in hospital and are expected to be questioned. The police and MI5's priority will be to prevent this bloody scene from being repeated. Frank Gaetano, BBC News.
On BBC News, that's a bit of the headlines for you this hour. The British Prime Minister is saying there are strong indications that the brutal killing of a man outside a military barracks in London is linked to terrorism. It's thought the victim is a serving soldier who was hacked to death in broad daylight by two men shouting Islamistic slogans. Let's stay with that story now. BBC's Susanna Mendonça is in Woolwich in South East London right now. Susanna, just bring us up to date with events since the actual attack.
Well, things have been very tense here since then. Earlier on, police had to contain a protest by around 60 young men just down the road at Woolwich Arsenal Station. Now, some of those people were members of the EDL, that's the English Defence League. We don't know how many of them were members of that far-right group, but certainly the group had posted on its website on to congregate there. Now, police use stop and search powers to there's some pushing and shoving. We understand that some officers were, but they have now dispersed that area and that people have headed home. However, there are still small groups of young men wandering around. Few people have come up to us who they are members of the EDL and have said that they're going to stay here. Still very, very tense here. Police will be protecting a local bus as a precautionary measure, really, in case it does get targeted.
And things are really high, Susanna, of course. I mean, there are cities around the world, but this is quite a shock at mid-afternoon on a London street. It's also clear the government is taking it very seriously.
Indeed, this is completely a shock to the community here. This is coming from Woolwich. You'll see the police operating behind me here, looking there's the man who was killed a little further up the road there to the left. And this always happened in view of witnesses. We know that people actually filmed the event of the men who committed this
protest, there was some pushing and shoving. We understand that some boxes were thrown.
During Talent watched them from metres away. He told me they seemed to be waiting for the police to arrive. They could have just moved on, gone about their business.